A new team enters the Daytona 500 and then about an hour later changes their mind. And Kyle Busch versus Joey Logano, they traded words this weekend over satellite radio. Let's discuss. How's it going, y'all? My name is Eric. Welcome to Out of the Groove, a rare Saturday episode. But I've still got news to react to from this past week. We've also got some breaking news and then additional breaking news on top of that regarding a new Cup Series team that broke this morning. We'll get to all that in just a moment, but first, a reminder, my new podcast with NASCAR Xfinity Series driver Brennan Poole, Power Hour, debuts this Tuesday, February 14th, Valentine's Day. Daniel Suarez will join us as the first guest in the show's history. This podcast will be available in video form right here on my YouTube channel, but it will also be available as a traditional audio podcast on all major podcast platforms. Also, this coming Monday night, the 13th, the day before Power Hour launches, the Monday Night Racing Season 6 champion will be crowned. Once again, we'll be streaming right here on my YouTube channel. I'll be a part of the broadcast alongside Blake McCandless, Jacob Hitz, and Kenneth Bueno, and Darrell Waltrip. That's right, DW will join us for the broadcast. So I hope you guys tune into that. That is 8 p.m. Eastern time this Monday, February 13th, and then stay tuned February 14th for the inaugural episode of Out of the Groove Power Hour, presented by Circle B Diecast. That's going to do it for the announcements. Now let's get to the news. Let's begin with the breaking news this morning because this is still a developing story even as I sit down and begin filming this. This morning, Bob Pockrass of Fox Sports tweeted, a 7th open entry for the Daytona 500. Finish Line Motorsports Marketing will field the number 80 for J.J. Yaley. Josh Rayum will be crew chief. Whoa. It doesn't surprise me that J.J. Yaley would sneak into some car at the last minute, but who is this Finish Line Motorsports Marketing? Who are they? To my knowledge, at least, they have not fielded a NASCAR Cup Series entry before, but add them to the list for this year's Daytona 500, alongside Jimmy Johnson and Legacy Motor Club, Travis Pastrana in 2311, Austin Hill, Chandler Smith, Zane Smith, Connor Daly. Make it 7 open entries for this year's Daytona 500. For next week's Daytona 500, we're just a few days away from qualifying. Yeah, just a few days from qualifying. Qualifying's on Wednesday. That's in like 4 days, I think. Seems kind of late in the game for an all-new team to suddenly announce that they're going to Florida, they're going to the Daytona 500 with J.J. Yaley. Where did they come from? How is this going to work? Well, apparently it's not going to work. According to Toby Christie of TobyChristie.com, he just tweeted, Finish Line Motorsports Marketing tells me that the number 80 team has decided against attempting the Daytona 500, but expects to make its debut at Phoenix Raceway with J.J. Yaley as the driver. That has to be a new record, right? What was it, about 2 hours between that first Bob Pockrass tweet and the Toby Christie tweet? Wow. I don't know much about this Finish Line Motorsports Marketing team. The little bit I have heard in the last couple days is that they are a very new operation. This J.J. Yaley deal came together very, very last minute. I believe they are kind of what's left of Team Heseberg. Remember the 27 car that made a couple of starts last year? I don't think that team is really a thing anymore, and I think this Finish Line Motorsports Marketing group has kind of come in and swallowed up what was left. The fact that Josh Rayum is involved with this entry, or at least according to the initial report he is, that kind of confirms that in my opinion. Remember, Rayum Brothers Racing, they had some sort of partnership with Heseberg last season, like they were sharing a shop or something. I don't exactly remember off the top of my head, but the fact that Rayum's involved, a little bit I heard yesterday, I'm pretty sure Heseberg is not really a thing anymore, and this 80 team is trying to build off the ashes of that. But from running the Daytona 500 to not running the Daytona 500 in about 2 hours, that's got to be a record, right? While I'm here, I want to catch up on some spicy sound bites from this past week that I haven't had a chance to react to yet. Let's flash back nearly one whole week to the clash at the Coliseum. Joey Logano got in a little hot and took out Kyle Busch, spun the 8 car around early in the second half. Clearly, the 22 just got in too hot, made a mistake, and unfortunately the 8 car was the victim. Monday morning, after the clash, Kyle Busch was on SiriusXM NASCAR radio, and he called out Joey Logano for being two-faced.
It's really unfortunate to be raced by guys that are so two-faced. You know, we were in the TV booth earlier in the night together, and when we were all done with that, he was like, hey, man, good luck tonight. I'm like, okay, great, thanks, yeah, whatever. And then lo and behold, there you go, he wrecks me. So it's just, don't even talk to me if you're going to be that kind of an on the racetrack.
Now, we know Kyle Busch and Joey Logano have had a rocky history, let's say. I mean, Kyle Busch has literally punched Joey Logano in the face in front of thousands and thousands of fans. Safe to say they've never quite seen eye to eye. I thought it was a bold but smart decision by Fox to bring them both into the booth earlier in the night. That kind of tension makes for good TV, I think. But you hear Kyle Busch's comments there. He calls out Joey Logano for being two-faced. Don't even talk to me if you're going to race like a jerk on the track. This is not the first time a driver has accused Joey Logano of being two-faced. I don't even think it's the first time Kyle Busch has mentioned it. But Joey Logano on his SiriusXM NASCAR radio show later in the week addressed those comments made by Kyle Busch.
Am I sorry? Yes, I am. Am I two-faced? Yes, I am. And do I think anything's wrong with that? No, I don't. I have a switch that I flip when it is time to go racing. I am out there to win. And yes, I have to do what I got to do to win. I made a mistake. I didn't want to do that. But I still am going to be an intense racer no matter what. Luckily, I know how to shut that off to where when I get out of the race car, in Kyle's words, I'm not a complete a-hole all the time, right? That's better than being an a-hole 100% of the time. At least it's only when I'm in the race car. I don't want to be a complete selfish person outside of the race car. But inside the race car, I have to be selfish.
Say what you will about the clash, it did create rivalries. Ross Chastain, Denny Hamlin once again get together, rekindling last year's feud. And now Logano versus Busch, two other drivers who have a rocky history together. So the clash did manage to create a couple of intriguing storylines before the regular season even kicks off. So good on you, Coliseum. But now my reaction to Kyle Busch and Joey Logano's comments there. First, Kyle Busch, I completely understand why he'd be frustrated. Obviously, he got wrecked, battled back somehow and earned a podium finish, but he has every right to be upset with Joey Logano, how Logano raced him in that moment. And I'm sure it's very irritating, especially to a driver like Kyle Busch, to see someone like Joey Logano kind of turn it on and off. Logano can be a jerk when he wants to, but he can also be the goofy, fun dad when he wants to. Kyle Busch strikes me as the kind of athlete who has a very difficult time turning it off. Like, he's always competitive. And that's normal for great athletes. I mean, Michael Jordan, very competitive on and off the court. Tom Brady, absolutely obsessed with football on and off the field. I'd put Kyle Busch into that same category, but for racing, obviously, and especially in the middle of an event, which when he and Logano were in the TV booth, I mean, yeah, that's kind of still in the middle of an event. It's Sunday afternoon, their race is coming up. I can imagine it's very difficult for Kyle Busch to turn off that competitive mindset, that edge. And when he watches someone like Joey Logano, who's able to be so friendly, so goofy, so lighthearted, and then flip a switch just like that, I think Kyle Busch just doesn't understand it. That does not compute. And I think for many drivers, Joey Logano doesn't really make a lot of sense, but especially for Kyle Busch, someone who's extremely competitive, I think, on and off the track, I get why he would be frustrated by Logano's sort of split personality. But from Joey Logano's perspective, or when I look at Joey Logano, when I hear Joey Logano make those comments, I gotta say, I have kind of a newfound appreciation for what he's been able to do. You know, NASCAR in many ways, I think, asks more of its athletes than other sports like football or baseball or basketball. Because in NASCAR, you obviously have to practice, you have to train, you have to be great at the actual sport itself. But in NASCAR and motorsports, you're also expected to be a salesperson, to market, to schmooze. You have to host, you have to entertain, etc., etc. The fact that Joey Logano is so comfortable being friendly and happy on TV, casual and conversational with his competitors before the race, after the race, you name it, the fact that Joey Logano is comfortable wearing both hats, the friendly hat and the black hat, and the fact that he's able to flip that switch at will, that's a skill to me, and I kind of appreciate it. I respect it. In many ways, Logano has inadvertently become the new king of mind games in the garage. I mean, we go back to Phoenix, the championship. Sure, they had an extra couple weeks to work on their car, but that whole weekend, the 22 team just seemed to have an extra pep in their step that the rest of the championship or at least the two newcomers, didn't seem to have. Not saying that's what won him the championship, but you could argue there were some mind games there, some psychological games being played. You see that confidence out of Logano, someone who's been there, done that? That can be a little unnerving if you're a newcomer to the championship for. Anyway, I'm not saying I appreciate the way Joey Logano races on the track all the time. I've criticized moves he's made even in the past year. I thought him bumping William Byron out of the way at Darlington last spring was a touch too much in my opinion. I don't think it was justified based on the little bit of contact Byron gave him. So obviously I don't always love the way Joey Logano races on the track. What I appreciate is his mental ability to flip that switch. Tom Brady was great because he was obsessed with football. Michael Jordan was great because he was obsessed with competition. I'm not saying Joey Logano isn't obsessed with being the best, but Joey Logano is able to flip a switch that few other star athletes, I believe, are capable of. I see that as a skill, and I respect that. That's all I'm saying. If I was a race car driver and I was competing against Joey Logano, I would at least be glad that he's consistent. I know how he races, I know how his philosophy, he's extremely predictable. Which means when I'm racing around him, I don't have to think twice. I know Joey Logano's gonna put the bumper to me. I know he's gonna come down on my door, try to get me loose. I know he's gonna do that, so I'm not gonna feel too bad when I bump him back. Maybe get ahead of the game a little. So if I was a driver in the current NASCAR Cup Series garage, and I know everybody knows this, but you know Joey Logano's gonna give you the bumper. Get ahead of it. Give it to him first. It'd be the unpredictable drivers who would get in my head, who would frustrate me. I wouldn't know exactly how to race them. Joey Logano, everyone knows how he's going to race you, so you should know how to race him. That's just my take on this, but let me know what you think down in the comments below. Logano, at fault for the wreck. Kyle Busch has every right to be frustrated, but I don't think Logano being two-faced is really a bad thing. To me, it's a skill, and I don't know, I kind of appreciate it. Don't always appreciate how he races on the track, but I do appreciate that he's a star athlete who's amazing at what he does, who is capable of flipping that switch. That's hard to do, so I respect that skill, but let me know what you think down in the comment section below. That is gonna do it. If you enjoyed this video, please leave it a like. If you love NASCAR and you haven't already, hit that subscribe button. Be sure to do so you stay in the loop on all things stock car racing. And thank you as always to my Patreon supporters for your very generous support. Monday night iRacing right here on this channel. And then Tuesday, Power Hour, new podcast featuring myself, Brennan Poole. Daniel Suarez is our first guest. That will premiere as well. Can't wait to share all this new content with y'all. Thank you so much for watching. Enjoy the rest of your weekend and enjoy Super Bowl Sunday. Those of you who celebrate. Like we treat it like a holiday now, basically. It's a holiday in America. I'm surprised we don't get Mondays off. I know I always thought as a student when I was in school that we should get the Monday after the Super Bowl off. It just felt like it would have been a perfect 3-day weekend. Who doesn't love another 3-day weekend? I don't know. Thanks for watching.